It is our weekly check-in with Burlington Mayor Marianne Meed Ward. And Mayor, well, we have to lead with a topic that's really Ontario-wide for us here on Halton News, because it does come local as well. Last week, Premier Doug Ford requested that Ontario big city mayors ask for the notwithstanding clause to be used to clear homeless encampments and deal with the homeless issues that are going on. A document was drafted, 13 mayors signed. It's now reported by Mayor Burton, actually, that it's up to 15 mayors signing this. One of those is Mayor Burton. However, your signature is not on this letter. You are the chair of the Ontario Big City Mayors. I wanted to get your stance in regards to the ask from the Premier about this issue.
I'm very glad that you have asked. So the 13 signatories are doing this independently, as is their right. Any individual mayor or group of mayors can request whatever they wish of the province. And I would note that they are, I've only seen 13. So 13 out of, there are 444 municipalities in Ontario. So not close to consensus yet, and maybe not ever. Some of the largest cities who have the biggest issues with homelessness did not feel that was the way to go. So this is really independent and entirely separate from the Ontario Big City Mayors Caucus, of which I am the chair. As a caucus, we have been united in our request to the province that the way forward is a couple of things. First, we're asking a single minister or ministry to be in charge, corral all 16 different ministries that touch this, an action table to debate some of the tools, some of the more controversial issues. We'd like to see that happen as well. And then, of course, funding for supportive housing and 24/7 community hubs. And that's the way forward. We've also asked in a more recent resolution for review of the Mental Health Act, the Trespass to Property Act, which didn't contemplate the very serious issue that we are all experiencing with encampments. It's not safe for the folks living in them. It is not safe for the communities living around them, and we need a solution. But we know what the solution is. And the mayors have been very clear, and the caucus has been very clear on what our requests are and what we think the solutions are. And you can't just move people along if they have nowhere to go. That's how homelessness has been dealt with for decades. And the courts were very clear about that unless you have accessible supportive housing, which I think is a reasonable condition, you can't just move people along to another park or another community or another province. And that's why the caucus has said we need an Ontario-wide plan. This isn't just a big city issue. It is a 444 municipality issue, big and small, rural, northern. We need a comprehensive plan, and that's what we've asked for, and that's what we'll stick with.
Now, at least in my time covering this is the first time I've seen a distinct divide in the Ontario Big City Mayors. I'm curious, will this fracture, compromise working relationships within the group?
So we had a great discussion at the caucus, and we are a consensus-driven organization. We're nonpartisan, so we have political affiliations of different stripes, and we try to work very hard together to put something out that the caucus can agree on. And there was a many hours discussion about a lot of these matters, and what we came out with is a consensus-based position that we reiterate our asks under Solve the Crisis, which have been out there since August, and ask for a further review of some pieces of legislation. And we still think as a caucus that is the right way to go. Individually, mayors should be welcome in a democracy to say what they wish. Certainly some of those mayors are getting concerns raised by their council members. You didn't ask me about this. We haven't consulted with the community about this, and I'll leave that with them to manage. But individual mayors, either as a group or on their own, are very free and should be free to say what they wish. But the caucus has been very clear about what we, as a whole and as a collective, agree on, and that's where our strength is. When we put something out to the government, they can rest assured that this is the view of the group of mayors that represents 70% of Ontario's population.
All right. Well, let's get back to local. Let's get back to Burlington here. Let's talk about the things we do each and every week. And that's going to start this week with the downtown parking plan. What is happening?
We're reviewing our space needs. So for many years, we collect money, certainly for parking fees downtown. It's the only area in the city that we charge for parking. So a portion of those fees, as well as tickets, as well as the downtown businesses, they don't need to provide on-site parking in the downtown. We don't want to have, seas of parking around single-story buildings. So we provide communal parking, and they pay a small levy. So all of those three sources contribute to a parking reserve. And that reserve is intended to build future parking needs. That's how our downtown parking garage was originally paid for partially. That's how we keep up the downtown. It's where we add the EV chargers. So this study right now is to say, okay, how are we doing on that? The reserve is quite healthy in the I'm going to say around 9 million, but between 7 and 9, it's a good amount. It's not enough to pay for a new parking structure, but it's certainly enough to get you well on your way and pay for, if you have to debt service that. But before we do that, that's a big undertaking. Before we add more parking supply, either buy land and put surface parking or put parking underground or even build the structure, we need to know a better handle on what the current and what the anticipated demand is. So that's what is being studied right now in conversation with businesses and the community.
All right, let's move a little northeast of the downtown to Bronte Creek Meadows. This is an area on Burloak, south of Upper Middle Road. There's a survey available for residents to talk about the land in question. What type of information is being looked at for this?
Really, it's a first look at a vision for this. There's no applications, much less any approvals. So I want to be really clear with people. Sometimes when we go out and say, hey, help us with the vision, folks think there's a done deal. And there isn't. There's not even an application, much less any approvals, which would be its own separate process. And so, and this is really developer led. This is not being led by the city. This is being led by the people that own this property to say, look, here's some of our thinking, a vision for this massive parcel. Tell us what you think. So tell them, is there too much housing being proposed? Is there not enough parkland being proposed? What would you like to see with community amenities? Would you like to see another community center? Where would that go? What should the mix of housing be if there's housing there? So all of those details are part of that vision, and the public is free to weigh in. And I've heard some feedback already from community about it. And there's a public meeting tonight. There's an online survey. There's more. There's actually another virtual meeting later this week. So invite people to come out and first of all see what the thinking of the applicant and the landowner is. But if you don't like that, what would you like to see here? Because something someday is going to go there. And at one time, it was employment land. It could have been an Amazon warehouse with 5 jobs and a bunch of trucks. Do you want that to be the vision? I don't. But something will be built here. So what's really super helpful from community is when they see these things, don't just say, don't do anything. Help us, help the property owner to say, not this, but that. And that's your opportunity tonight.
You know what they say, if you don't vote, you can't complain afterwards.
There you go.
You at least have a bit of a say in it. Finally, this upcoming Tuesday, your Mayor Speaker Series. The topic being, kind of appropriate here, growth is coming. What's in it for you? Who is this event aimed at?
Residents, for sure, in Burlington. We want to engage them in that conversation because, folks, when I go to meetings about a development in a particular neighborhood, residents are like, I don't want that. And they can articulate the downsides of growth. And they're not wrong. In fact, they're right. There are some challenges if we don't also get good things with growth. So that's what we want to talk about. We have a panel of experts, urban planner Terry Johns, we have Indwell, which is affordable housing, very unique model. They're active in communities around us, and Jesse Helmer, who brings the data to the conversation. So it'll be a panel discussion. We're not discussing any one particular application. So I invite folks, when you come, don't think that we're going to be talking about the building next door to you. We're not, but we want to talk about the bigger picture of how, growth is coming whether we want it or not. People own land, they can make application, and even if we say no, there's the tribunal. So we want to manage that. And in fact, we've reset and reorganized the city, and we now have a Department of Development and Growth Management. We want to be masters of our own fate. We want to influence what happens to the degree that we can, rather than just sit back and let growth be done upon us. So this is an opportunity for that conversation. What would good growth look like to the community? What are the opportunities with growth, whether we're capturing them right now or not? That's a good conversation to have. And, bring your thinking cap, bring your questions, bring your comments. We're going to have a really good discussion. We open it to the floor. So residents can ask questions from the floor, so to speak. We have a system where you put your question online and others in the audience get to vote on it. And we pick the ones that most people want to hear the answer to, because we never get to them all. So we figure that's a good democratic way to manage the process.
That's great. That is perfect. Yeah, just not first to the mic there. People
Right.
actually get to vote on the questions too.
Yeah.
Well, that is excellent. That is coming up on Tuesday, and we will be chatting with you next Tuesday as well. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.